Good morning and welcome. I'm Ben Newman. This is Forexample Trading. It is the 8th of January. It's a Wednesday and all sorts of occurrences happened overnight last night, which I'm going to cover. The markets went crazy, particularly the metals, due to this ongoing tension between the US and Iran, which is developing as we speak. Trump is due to speak later, so I'm going to go over the things that I think are key to keep in mind with the markets, but we need to be taking real care with trading. I think a lot of people got hurt last night if they left trades open. A lot of people expected gold and silver to dip a bit, ultimately carry on back up, but there was a massive spike. It's corrected now, so I'm going to go into a bit of detail of that. First of all, if you're not subscribed to us, please do subscribe, turn on your notifications and you'll get regular updates. I'm also going to be doing an extra video which will be released later today. I'm going to give you details at the end of this video about that, but that's going to give you an insight into just really how to get your trades entered safely and try and protect yourself from these sort of movements that occurred last night. They are exceptional. The circumstances at the moment are exceptional, but nevertheless, these movements do occur, and they're kind of movements that aren't anything to do with price. They're speculative movements, and we need to know how to protect ourselves from those. So I'm going to do another video which will come separately. If you turn on the notifications, you'll get that as soon as I've done it. Okay, that will talk you through some of those details. All right, first of all, if you're not subscribed, you can do so. There's a button in the corner over there. And if you do want to join our trading arena, which incorporates a signals outlet, training, some expert traders in there as well, that can help you along your way. So whether you're a beginner or experienced, this is about trading collaboratively, sharing our ideas and getting the best results we possibly can from the markets. The markets can be a real cruel place if you're on your own. So working together will definitely help you along your way, and that's whether you are experienced or new. And you can do so you can do that up there, all those buttons up there, the trading arena, Facebook, Twitter. You can follow us on our social media outlets and just jump into the chat arena there, and I can have a talk with you about where you are with your trading. All right, on with the day. So YouTube channel, of course, in front of me there, and that will give you up-to-date videos on what we're doing. As I say, there'll be one to come later, which I'll give you details of at the end of this video. But let's go into the markets now. Of course, Facebook and Twitter, you can follow us on there as well. So I'm going to start with the economic calendar. There are going to be some key things today. I'm definitely not going to be trading until after New York opens today. I won't be entering any trades until that point, and I'll explain why. But ultimately, we want to wait for correction to occur in the markets, and I'm going to have a look at what is strong and what's weak today, and we'll be looking at capitalizing those, but after New York opens, so we've got a good idea of what's going on there. If we try and do it before, the chances are there'll be sort of to in and fro, and not much will happen before 1:30 or 1:15 when New York opens here. And we've got this this non-farm employment change, which is the data processed non-farm employment change ahead of Friday's NFP. Okay, NFP, if you're not aware of it, is arguably the most well, it is. There's no argument about it. It's the most impactful event in the economic calendar. It always causes movement, and we'll just see, how that's affected by what's happening today. So this is kind of a guide. It should give you an indicator of where things are predicted to go. It's predicted to be down. Sorry, last time it was down considerably against forecast, so we'll see how it is today. That should give us some clues as to what's going to happen on Friday. Now, President Trump speaking, that is key today. When that will happen, who knows? He does whatever he likes, doesn't he? So I'm sure he'll just turn up when he fancies it and move all the markets again. The guy's an absolute liability, and we're seeing it. It's dangerous time we're in. So we're just watching and waiting to see really what's happening with this Iran conflict. But I watched the news last night, and they were interviewing both him and the head of military in the US there, and they're asking what is this immediate threat that was so immediate that they had to go and kill the Iranian military leader. Neither of them can answer. To me, that is incredibly concerning, and it just looks like, it could be a repeat of what happened there with Bush and Tony Blair and so on. And I just find it alarming that in the world that we're in at the moment, these things are happening. But there you go. So I'm going to cover the key stories around that. But they are, of course, that conflict is, of course, the thing that's affecting the markets most dramatically at the moment. And as traders, we can capitalise, but we also need to protect ourselves against the real sudden movements that, like last night, that occurred. And I'll go into those in detail. So top stories today, as you know from yesterday, what I like to do is have a look at what things investing.com was looking at, the things that we should watch yesterday. Now, ironically, this first one here, geopolitical tensions ease, and this is to do with the US-Iran conflict, but ultimately saying that things have sort of calmed down and it looked like nothing was happening. And then, of course, last night, Iran started firing missiles at the US military bases where the troops are held in Iraq, or where they live in Iraq, where they stay, and that's opened it all up again. And add to that the funeral of their military leader, which caused a stampede, which at last count was 60 people dead, and they're out for revenge. So it's not going to be the end of it. I just hope that it can be diffused or calmed or whatever. I just can't see, why we're in wars in this day and age. But there we go. Donald Trump, most powerful man in the world. And he's going to be causing these sort of conflicts. So looking on a plus side, if we can do that, if we can take advantage of the movement of the markets that occur because of it, then let's do that. And I'll help you every step of the way. If you look at the trading arena, there'll be regular updates in there regarding this and what's going on. And I'm going to talk you through in my next video, which I'll just explain at the end of this. How you can protect yourselves and just how to sort of manage the trades when you're placing them. Then global stock steady again, suggesting that global stock steady, but I've got another report that came through yesterday showing that there it is. So downward dip as investors weigh risk of possible US-Iran conflict, and that kind of contradicts this a bit. But that report came out late last night. After the point that I think it was announced that Iran had fired missiles back at the US. Oil and gold pulled back. This was gold and oil rising, and we're expecting the both gold, silver. For me, I don't know too much about oil. I know that obviously tensions in the Middle East mean that it's pushing the oil prices up. But this suggesting that it was pulling back yesterday. I didn't check it. But silver and gold, certainly I got to a point where I had a silver trade placed and I was expecting it definitely to drop, and then the tensions overnight made it spike. I left that trade open, and yeah, it hurt me a bit, and that's going to happen in trading. But while all this stuff's going on, we've got to be ultra careful about what trades we're leaving open and when we're placing them and so on. So again, I'll go into a bit more detail about that. Automakers in focus. Whether that's relevant or not, I don't know. But US data anyway, I'm going to put the links to these all my news sources. I'll put them in the description below. Okay. So the key stories for me: Dow and S&P 500 dip as investors weigh risk of possible US-Iran conflict. That will ultimately have an impact on currencies as a whole. And that's why investors will be looking at safe havens like the precious metals, even the Swiss franc or even the Japanese yen. So there may be ones to either. Yen tends to be very volatile. It operates on a different pip system. Its value is so different to the others that it tends to move very erratically. And yeah, you can make money quickly with it, but you can lose money as well. It needs to be moving consistently. I tend to avoid it, but this might be a time to have a look at it. I'm going to show you the strength of these different currencies in a minute. Trump responds to Iranian attacks. This was further to him finding out that Iran had retaliated and were firing missiles at the US bases out there in Iraq. And he said all is well. So there we go. It says it all. I'll just be interested to hear what he says later. But he's starting to cause alarm to a lot of other countries now who are suggesting that these are war crimes that he's committing. And unless he can really demonstrate that there was a real threat and prove it, we're back to a situation like we were with Bush some years ago. And we know how that ended. So then, on a more positive note, Boris Johnson to push for a speedy trade deal in new Brexit talks with the EU. That could push the value of the pound up today, so I'll be looking at that. I've been eyeing the GBP USD for some time now, and I think once these things start happening this month, we're going to see a surge in the pound, and I'm going to show you where I think that might push up to in a minute. Got that up twice, don't need that there. What else have we got? There's the report on the Iranian missile fire on the US troop bases. So I'm going to put all these reports in the description, so rather than dragging this out. And then Asian markets fall as violence flares. So again, all coming back to this conflict in the Middle East. Let's start by looking at the Dixie. Now, if you remember yesterday, I was saying about this 97 level being key. We're on a 1 hour chart here, but let's have a look at a daily chart. So this 97 level being key. US dollar looks like, or the dollar index looks like it's picking up and pushing past that, but I suspect it will get to here. And I'm just going to draw a trend line in so that you can see what I'm doing here. So this is the level. All right, this is the trend line, if you can see it. So you can draw these in. It's fairly easy to do, and you just need to follow the tips of these wicks on these candles and find where it sort of makes most sense. And to me, it's around there. You can see where these breaks occur, around here and here. And then we're just sitting on the top of this candle. So what I'll be looking for the Dixie to do here is sit up to this level here, hit this, and if we change it to a 1 hour view, I'll be looking to see whether it actually breaks past this or carries on back down. It's had 3 attempts at going up here. You see these 3 spikes. So there's a good chance that it will carry on up. We'll have a look at the strengths of the relative currencies in a minute on my MT4. Let's have a quick look at gold on 4 hours. So look where it went, pushed up to 1870. Sorry, silver this is, pushed up to 1875. I expected it to drop at this level. I had a sell trade on from here. Let me just show you. So from this area here is where I had the sell trade on, and I'll show you why I thought that was so relevant in a second. Let's just change it to a 1 hour view. Okay, sorry, we need it on a daily view. So there we go. So that's why you can see now why I thought that area was so relevant. All right, it came up to a point here which is 100% on my fib. So I thought it could drop to there, but it already pushed up this candle here. If you can see it, this one here had pushed up to here. So I thought it would match it basically. There'd be a double top there, and then it would come back down. But of course, the news last night about the missile attacks has caused this spike. There's no doubt in my mind it wouldn't have gone up to there otherwise. So now we're in a situation where we've got a slightly different viewpoint on this, because where we need to be looking at now in terms of range is up here. All right, it's more likely not to. It's corrected itself already, as you can see. So I'll be looking for the range to sort of correct itself and be back around here. This is speculative, this spike up here, and it's the same with gold. You'll see it looks very similar. If we put it on a 4 hour chart, there we go. So it's spiked up to 1610 and has corrected itself immediately. I still think gold and silver will ultimately be going up, but we need to be patient and just see what happens this afternoon, probably from this Trump speech as well. So for me, I definitely won't be placing trades until this afternoon, until after after New York opens and ideally Trump speaks as well. We'll see what effect that has on the markets, and then we'll be able to decide on our trades from there. The GBP USD, so you can see this trend line I drew in yesterday, which is where I expected it to drop to, and it has done exactly that. So throughout today, I'm expecting this to pick back up now. I'm expecting this to pick back up now and go all the way up to around here. I'm just trying to find an arrow on here. Not sure where my arrows are now. Been a while since I've done this. But you can see that this 4 hour candle suggests that it's very bullish indeed. and I'd expect ultimately for us to be going up to here. But we could probably take a trade on this pound, depending on the strength of it, which I'll have a look in a minute, up to 1.32, somewhere around that level. We've just got to see how this certainly looks like it's pushing up now. If we look at it on a 1 hour chart, this is actually quite tempting for a trade, because it's gone exactly where I thought it would yesterday. Now it's heading back up, and I'd much rather be trading strength in the pound. I think that could be as a result. There we can see it's moving pretty rapidly now. Euro US dollar always worth keeping an eye on, because as I say, it is a mirror image of the Dixie. So have a look at what that's doing anyway. At the moment, the US dollar pulling down. It looks like it might break past here, but I think we'll probably see a double bottom, and then this euro will start to pick up as well. The other ones to watch, the Aussie US dollar, which dropped dramatically yesterday, just shows the weakness in it. And again, I think this could pick up today. I'm going to show you the strengths on the MT4, and the Aussie and Kiwi dollars are very strong, certainly at the moment. Again, that could change quite quickly, but they could pick up today as well. New Zealand dollar in a similar situation. That's on 4 hour look, and it's dipped past. So this is the area really that we've pushed beyond, and it's correcting now. And I'm just going to show you what I mean by that. So this area here is where price is right, and then it goes to an area where it's oversold, and now it's pushing back up into this area that you can see here. If anyone watched Michael's video yesterday, it explains exactly that. It was on gold, but it's exactly that principle, that you've got these order blocks like this, and it's dropped out of that area. So where we want to be placing our trade is here, with the expectation that it's going to come back into the right price zone. All right, and then it will carry on back up through. So we want to be placing our order down here and then taking it up to about here. And it's exactly what's happened. You can see it spiked up to here and it's gone back down again. So it should sit in this area now. And if it does that, we could probably carry on trading this in favour of the Kiwi dollar. We've got to remember things are volatile out there as well, particularly with the Aussie dollar and those fires going on. So there's a lot going on that we've got to be aware of, other than just the technicals that we're looking at on the charts. Right, I'm going to pull my MT4 over so you can have a look at that quickly. And let's just see where we are. So this, if you can see in the corner, these are my strengths here. The US dollar strongest at the moment. That could change pretty rapidly. By the way, it's worth mentioning that usually when the US dollar is strong, then metals, gold and silver, are weaker. They're going down. Yesterday, the US dollar was strong all day and gold and silver were going up all day. And that shows you there's something really wrong, economically, because usually if the dollar's weak, the gold and silver are strong, and vice versa. And unfortunately, when that balance or that reference is upset, it makes it very difficult to trade. You need to be ultra cautious about what's going on, because what it tells me is that no one really knows what's going on there. People are in a state of worry. And investors really don't know what to do, so they kind of chuck things at investors start moving towards gold and silver, but it doesn't really tell us anything. It's very random then, so we need to be very cautious. Okay, I'm going to just show you. So at the moment, the Kiwi and Aussie dollar, you can see they're very strong. The yen and Swiss franc quite weak, which surprises me actually. That could change, because they are generally safe havens. And then we've got the pound and Canadian dollar and euro sitting around the middle here, but they're all fairly even. There's no extremes here. I suppose the Swiss franc and yen are quite weak, but none of them are at extremities, and that's what I'd look for before placing a trade on a particular pair. So if the US dollar was very strong and the yen was very weak, or the pound was very strong and the US dollar was very weak, that's when I'd be looking to capitalise. But you kind of have to do it before it turns. So watching the charts is important as well. You can't just wait for that to tell you and then go and place the trade, because often that movement's already gone. You've missed the moment, and that's why it's important to know how to analyse the charts. Right, okay, that's it for now. The other video that I'm going to release later, and again, if you want to know more about this, what it's going to be is how to determine, from looking at the charts, entry point, stop loss, and take profit levels. Okay, And what I'm going to do is just talk through what I do. And this, again, it's non-advisory. It's just my method of doing it. But what it should do is help us avoid things like, if my computer works, just crashing there. Help us avoid things like, sorry, things going very slow here for some reason. Things like this, yeah, this big candle here, this big spike here. And ultimately what we want to be doing is just being patient and waiting for these extremities to occur and then placing in the other direction. But it's easier said than done, because once a movement like that occurs, we don't know whether it's just going to carry on going up. So then it's very difficult to find the top or the bottom of these when they're moving like that. And that's when you start losing money, because you're going in and you're trying to find the top or the bottom of these extreme movements, and often that results in big loss. So we need to make sure that we are setting our stop loss, and if the stop loss breaks, we need to just wait, because if we've got it right and we've determined it right, what will happen is it will move like this and it'll come back to where our stop loss was originally, which is exactly what happened to me yesterday with silver. It went up to the point of my stop loss and then just carried on going through, and guess what, it came straight back down to where my stop loss was. And ultimately that means that we've got it right. It's just these extreme circumstances that have caused this spike here, and occasionally that's going to happen. But the other video will talk you through that. So if you turn notifications on, you'll get that as soon as I've finished doing it. It'll be really helpful for you, especially if you're starting out. All right, that's it for me for today. Take it easy out there. Be very careful. And really, you want to be absolutely sure about trades if you're placing them. My advice is wait till Trump has spoken, because the markets will go a bit crazy at that point, I imagine, and then look to place your trades after that when they settle down, if the opportunities are there. All right, as always, all the best, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks a lot.